Why did you start working with women, and how did you get into this pricing, you know, challenge that we have?
Personal experience.
Mm,
So this is the second company that I've owned. The first I operated for about 8 years, and that was focused on political consulting and lobbying.
mhm.
And I loved it. It was fascinating, and I'd never do it again. But I learned, and I'm so glad I'm not in the political arena now.
Uh-huh.
But what I will say is I learned so much in that process. And one of the challenges was that my revenue was tied to the election cycle here in the US. So I had so many revenue ups and downs because it wasn't consistent through the year.
Mm,
And because of that, I added the lobbying, which means I was commuting. I did some federal work. I did local, and I would commute to our state capital, and some local in here in Houston, Texas, where I'm based. And so the lobbying evened out my revenue, but the trade-off was travel.
mm,
And so, you have to think about, is quality of life, does that, earning more money and more consistently, is that an equal trade-off? And so
mm,
it was very challenging. And if there were resources to help me grow my business, figure out the revenue conundrum, figure out how to sell, I didn't know how to sell. That wasn't my
mhm,
background.
mhm,
So if there were resources, I didn't know how to find them, and I didn't know who to trust. So
mm,
I resolved at that point, I want to be that resource for other women business owners. And I've spent years and years learning how to price for value, how to sell that's more like matchmaking, so that you're not feeling like you're persuading anyone to do anything. So all of those elements have been foundational for me and the growth of my company. So I wanted to be that resource for other women business owners. And you asked why I chose to work with women.
mhm,
Part of it is my own personal experience and wanting to help other women. But the other is that's also where I know I make the biggest impact, because I understand how women think. I have fallen into all the same traps that we all fall into. And I have spent my entire career dealing with those issues and teaching others how to triumph over those
mm.
challenges.